This week on the PGA Tour, we have the Wyndham Classic that's being played at Sedgefield Country Club in Greensboro, North Carolina. There are going to be a lot of great golfers participating in this event, but it's really a critical opportunity for many to make that top 70 to qualify for the FedEx Cup playoffs. Joe, before we get into your picks for today, could you just highlight for us the key things to know about this course and how it might impact some of the top golfers?
Sure. I mean, it's always worth talking, Joe. Like you said, it's the final event now of the regular season before we head into the FedEx playoffs. There's some players that will be just below the cut line and will need to sort of have a good performance to get, to sneak themselves into the finals. And obviously, it's really valuable. This is where the big money comes in on the PGA Tour circuit. So it might just be worth people when you're trying to find your own players, just have a little bit of a look who's just outside some of the standings, because we do see it year on year. There's 2 or 3 players that are sort of 1, 2, 3 places outside the FedEx playoffs, seemingly play well, get themselves into the finals based on a good tournament here at the Wyndham Championship. So definitely have a look into that first before narrowing down your selections. Obviously, really important part of the season for the most part, for sure.
So Cameron Young's coming off as the defending champ from a year ago. He shot 22 under. He's actually the favorite to win this event at plus 950. You don't have him in your top 4 picks. The first guy that you wanted to discuss here was Maverick McNeely, who you can grab at plus 3,500 to win. He's 50th in the FedEx Cup rankings. He's got 2 top 10 finishes, and he also finished tied 18th at the Masters in the PGA Championship. Why are you attracted to him as your first pick?
Well, there's a lot of the selections this week, Joe, are price-based as well. I think they're maybe overpriced based on the credentials that they offer. Might just be worth touching on Cameron Young, as you mentioned there initially. Did win this last year, like you said, Joe, and he won by 6 shots as well. So it was real dominant display. And like you said, he comes into it this year as the highest-ranked player in the field as world number 3. But there's a few other names, Joe, at the top this week. Patrick Cantley and Justin Rose. I toyed with the idea about backing the pair, but the only problem for me is that Patrick Cantley's so slow. He hasn't won since 2022. This event suits him really nicely, but we haven't seen him in the deep end of the tournament for some while now. Now, this is the opportunity for me where I think Patrick Cantley's got a real good chance this week of, scoring well, getting himself up the leaderboard, because he's a perfect fit for this golf course. But for a player that just doesn't seem to win enough, you want a little bit more value than the sort of 18-1 on offer. He's priced as if he's, a prolific winner, but he hasn't won for over 4 years now. So the 18-1 just feels a bit too short. But I just wanted to mention him and Justin Thomas are in the same boat there, really good chances. But the price doesn't really reflect what's happened to their careers over the last few years. So easier to sidestep. But Maverick McNeely, like we just mentioned there, Joe, world number 44. He does have a lot going for him, really, at this golf club. And he is a PGA Tour winner more recently than Patrick Cantley, for instance. Obviously, McNeely won the RSM Classic in 2024, and it doesn't feel like it's too far away till he's going to be adding a second title to his resume. This year, he's played really good golf consistently without necessarily blowing the scoring out of the water, but he has made 16 of his 18 starts on the cut lines, but one of those that he missed was actually in the Open Championship, and he only missed it by 1, so it hardly qualifies as poor form. And overall, the level of golf that he's played throughout this campaign has been really solid. When you take a look at the way this course and tournament is likely to set up as well, it's going to be a really low scoring event, and McNeely definitely ticks a lot of those boxes. He currently ranks on 17th with the highest birdie average. His scoring is also inside the top 40. And it just highlights how consistent he's been, because without winning, his stats are still right up there with some of the better players on tour. What's also encouraging is that his strokes gained with approach and his putting has increased this season too. He's 20th with the 1 putt percentage, 17th with strokes gained on the putting. So if you look at the overall picture of his game, he's seemingly ticking the boxes in most of the categories. The problem that's probably stopped him winning as much as he should, he has made a few too many sloppy bogeys in the last few tournaments, but he is sort of narrowing them down event by event. So perhaps his time is coming now, Joe. He's going to hit a lot of greens in regulation at this sort of golf course. And if he gets his putter going like we have seen it so far this season, then it could be the time for him to strike. Like I said, he hasn't won since 2024. but he's a good price amongst this field. Yeah, I think it could be time for Maverick McNeely to strike. Again, price basis. His credentials are just as strong as Patrick Cantley, by the way, and Justin Thomas, but we're getting better value. So, yeah, he sneaks into the equation this week.
Steven Jaeger has pretty interesting odds, plus 12,500 for this event. He's right on that line, top 70, 77th in the FedEx Cup. He's got 3 top 10s this year. What do you like about Jaeger?
Yeah, so this is a player that I've followed for some time now, to be honest. So I've got quite a good understanding of his game. And what really stands out amongst him being like an all-round player is that when it clicks, his iron play is what really gets him competitive in some of these big events. Now, for those that have read and sort of watched my content before, you'll be aware that I just like players that have a real soft draw or real soft 2 to 3 yard fade, because they are the players that consistently bring out the best golf more consistently over the year. Now, he pops up now and then in some big events too. He finished tied 5th in the Farmers. He was tied 7th in the Valspar. He was tied 9th in the Byron Nelson this year. And he also recorded a top 20 finish at the PGA Championship, which was his only start in a major this season. So generally, he is a player that can seemingly score well at most courses, providing that his game's in good shape. He has won an event as well, winning the Texas Open in 2024. And when I said, obviously, earlier, that this is a course where you need players that are going to have quite a high birdie rate, well, that's exactly what he brings to the plate. He's 17th in the birdie rate rankings this year. And at 100 to 1, I don't think you're going to find many players at bigger odds than Steven Jaeger that are going to be as appealing with the credentials that he brings to the table. Look, he doesn't really win too often, but at this sort of price, you can afford to take a chance, because when they do win, it pays off obviously tenfold. Real likable player. His irons are in really good shape at the moment, and that is the key factor that enables him to score well at some of the more difficult courses. So again, that soft fade I think is ideal around here. Should be able to put a good number together, way overpriced at 100 to 1.
You can grab Keith Mitchell at plus 5,500 odds. He's at 47th in the FedEx Cup right now. He's got 3 top 10 finishes. He did finish tied for 4th at the U.S. Open. If anyone might have been paying attention to this season, or if you recall his name from this season, he became the first golfer in U.S. Open history to shoot consecutive rounds of even par at Shinnecock. He had 70 across the board. Why do you like Mitchell for the Wyndham Classic?
Yeah, so I've always been a big fan of Keith Mitchell, and this does look like a course where you match his credentials to the golf course. It should give him a really good opportunity to play well. His overall record here, to be fair, isn't as good as what that would suggest. However, his best result did come in his most recent attempt in the event, where he finished in a tie for 12th, and that feels much more in line with the type of player and sort of finish that I'd expect from Keith Mitchell at this sort of golf course. He is, of course, known for being quite long off the tee, but he's pretty good with his accuracy as well. Quite a versatile player, can play it both ways, controls his wedges quite nicely. His putting has improved significantly over the last few seasons, and altogether he looks like a solid competitor for this event. He's got 6 top 25 finishes this year, which included tied 6th in the Cognizant, 5th in the Byron Nelson, and like you said, Joe, 4 rounds of 70 in the US Open this year. It takes some doing. That was a seriously impressive effort. He's a really good scorer as well, Joe. I like the fact that 10 of his last 14 rounds have been in the low 60s. He actually ranks 11th on the birdie average at the moment on the PGA Tour, sits in 13th in greens and regulation. He's comfortably inside the top 30 with the low scoring as well across this season. You're going to need to be on players that can go deep for this event. Keith Mitchell does that all year round. Loads of 63s, loads of 64s. Nothing not to like, Joe, about Keith Mitchell this week if he turns up with his game in form.
And lastly here, Ryo Hitsatsune at plus 6,000. 42nd right now in the FedEx Cup, 5 top 10s. He's been a really steady performer so far during this PGA season. What do you like about Hitsatsune?
Yeah, steady campaign, like you said there, Joe, but a really busy one too. He's actually played 22 times this year, and he's actually made the cut on 21 of those occasions. Like you said, 5 top 10 finishes in there as well. But this is a seriously good play. He's played in 3 majors this season, and he's qualified through the cut every single time. So he's a really well-rounded golfer. And just to put it into perspective on how good he has been from tee to green, this is what's enabled him to be so good, make 21 of those 22 cuts, is he sits on 10th in the green and regulation stats across the entire tour. And when you look at the big names up in the top 20 this season, it's staggering to see that 23-year-old Ryo Hitsatsune is up there as well. He's a player that's going going under the radar a little bit, but for those that have watched this season, Joe, I mentioned I did actually back him when he won the French Open back in 2023. So I've watched his rise. I'm really familiar with his game, really good all-rounder, and can go very, very low too. The low-scoring events seem to be where he thrives, and I think that's what we've got this week at the Wyndham. You're looking at 20+ under par. He can definitely post those sort of numbers. So again, 66-1, pretty valuable price, I think, Joe.
And you have a long shot that you're not going to reveal here. You published that in your piece on thesportsgeek.com.
Yeah, so I've got a long shot for our viewers. Of course, to go with these videos, we do put up an article for the full squad, course previews and things like that. And I've got 125 to 1 shot, which fully made the squad this week as well. If you want that, though, Joe, they are going to go and have to check us out at the Sports Geek. Sign up for free. The articles are there. And hopefully we can pay you back with a nice winner along the way.
Be sure to go and check that out, folks, at thesportsgeek.com. And also sign up for the Beat the Geek contest. Winner gets a trip for 2 to an NFL game. Hit the like button and subscribe, and we will talk to you later.